Hello Knights fans, I'm Mike Balestra, the Director of Athletic Communications. Joining me now to look at the 2014-15 women's basketball season is head coach Naumovski. Coach, thank you.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
God, there's so much to talk about this year, but before we do that, I want to go back and just kind of recap. Since you've gotten here, your first year the team had 1 win, then they went to double digits. Last year they reached 20 wins, 15th best turnaround in the country. What do you think's been the key to the success since you've gotten here?
It's just steady improvement in all aspects of the program. So we've recruited better talent. The players that we have in the program have steadily improved. And then our culture has improved steadily too. So just that culture and foundation of winning, that's our standards and our expectations now. So we have established a new norm, and that has definitely been the difference.
Well, there's a couple of topics I want to get right into. First, earlier in the week, the East Coast Conference put out their preseason predictions. They picked us third, behind UDC and LIU Post. What are your thoughts about that?
I think it's a fair prediction based on last season. I think, UDC at the end of the day are conference championships, and you have to take it from them, so they're the team to beat right now. Okay. LIU Post had a storied year within their program, one of the best records in the history of their program, and they lost 7 seniors, so we'll see what they do. So I think the third place prediction is fair. Do I think we're better than third place? Yes, I do, but it's a fair prediction.
Now, you talked about LIU Post having a storied season. This ties into something I wanted to ask. We're having a game at Madison Square Garden in January, which ties into our history, being the first female team to ever play a game at Madison Square Garden. Just what are your thoughts? What are the team's thoughts about that whole event? Well,
the team could not be more excited. So the opportunity, first as a Division II institution, to play in an arena like Madison Square Garden is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for any Division II institution. And the fact that it's us is even better. I think that for them, to have the opportunity to play in their 4-year career in an arena like that, they'll never have an experience like that ever again in their life. In terms of our history, I'm lucky to be a coach who walks into a program with the depth of history that we have. I mean, what Coach Cavales was able to do in her tenure here will not be duplicated ever again. So to kind of walk behind her shoes has been a great experience. I'm so grateful that the women, those women who will be recognized on that day, as being the first women's team to ever play Madison Square Garden, I'm glad that they will be recognized as the pioneers that they are in women's basketball.
And hopefully we'll get a win.
And hopefully we'll get a win.
Now I want to look at some of your key returning players. You had no seniors last year, but you had a deep team with a lot of key returnees. I want to first look at your 2 sisters, obviously, Madison and Mackenzie Rowland. Just what do each of them bring that you like, and what are your expectations for them for this year?
Yeah, we did have a couple of seniors last year and grad students who have moved on. But going back to the 2 sisters, steady improvement. I mean, that's kind of what we ask of everybody. Madison obviously had a great freshman season that hardly any freshman has. So she's been recognized nationally in almost every single statistical category. So that's a credit to her and how hard she works for us. So yes, I'd like to see her take the next step, and she has to get to the level now where she's making the people around her better. So as a freshman, you come in and you're just you're putting your heart and your sweat on the floor, and you're just trying to compete and fit in. Well, she has more than shown that she can fit in. So the next step for her now is to find a way to achieve what she did last year, but be able to make the people around her better.
Is All-American realistic for her, do you think, by the time she's a senior?
Listen, it is realistic for her every single year. I mean, she's that athletic, and she's that gifted, and she's that bright. So it's always achievable for her. Mackenzie, she's coming back physically stronger than she's ever been. Last year she was coming off of that ACL injury and had a good year last year. But looking at her in preseason, getting up and down the floor, she is starting to look like the Mackenzie Rowland prior to that ACL injury. So I think she's definitely going to take the next step this year, and she's moving a lot better. She definitely has that confidence back in the knee, so she'll definitely be a force for us in the paint.
Well, you talk about her coming back from an injury, and another player you have who got a little bit hurt last year, who was Rookie of the Year 2 years ago, is Kristen Korzavinsky. What are your expectations for her this year?
You know, Kristen, I always feel like is the unsung hero on our team because on the stat sheet, you know, she doesn't have the eye-popping stats that maybe some of our other players have. But anyone who knows the game knows that she is such a key and valuable member of our team. We just flow and work better with Kristen on the floor. You know, what do I expect from her? You know, again, I hope that she improves and takes another step. I'd like to see her develop into a stronger leader on the floor. She is our most experienced player just by minutes played. I mean, she was playing about 38 minutes a game as a freshman, and she was probably around 36 or 35 last year as a sophomore. So she is our most experienced in terms of time on the court. So her leadership, and I'd like to see her start teaching, you know, the freshmen and those younger than her.
Right. Now, you talked about her leading the freshmen. Speaking of the newcomers, what have you seen from them that you like, and has there been anyone that's really kind of stood out to you so far?
Well, I know you don't say it, but I love this team. I really, really do. So the 6 newcomers, which we don't call newcomers anymore because they've been here for 2 months, but the 6 new faces have been great. I have a team of 12 players who legitimately come in every day, working really, really hard, want to be coached, have all bought in, and who are all working towards a common goal. And while we like to think that that happens every year, the reality is it doesn't. So this team has the potential to be a very special team in our program history. In terms of who's shining, you know, I think Taylor Miller in the point guard spot might surprise some people. I think she flew under the radar a little bit as a senior coming into college. I think she was a steal for us.
Great.
So I think that she's going to play significant minutes in the point guard spot. You know, Mel Fumano, I've been a Fumano fan ever since she signed. I think she gives us tremendous versatility on the offensive and defensive end. You just will not find a happier, more optimistic person either. So she definitely makes us better on and off the floor.
She's young.
And then, you know, Amber Harrison, who comes to us as a transfer, you know, great shooter, very, very consistent, and we know that was our greatest weakness last year was our ability to shoot the 3. She definitely gives us that. You know, Amani Davidson, transfer from ASA, she has a very well-rounded game. She's going to give us some toughness on the defensive end. She's a strong rebounder. She's a gritty player, and she shoots the 3 at about 35% from the 3. So we definitely have depth in every single position. I do think that every one of the new players or new faces will see court time this year.
Well, I guess the last question then ties into what you were just talking about. This is the first team you've had where you really had that depth and had those 12 players. So I think taking that into account, what are your, you know, what do you think is a realistic projection for the team?
You know, every year I've just wanted us to get a step better. So this, on top of what you were saying, this is the first time in my history here at Queens College that I've had student athletes who have been here for 3 years. In the past, we've had, you know, some who've been here for 1 or 2, but this is the first time that we've had, you know, a freshman class that's become seasoned and become a junior. So this is the first time we've had that, and that's certainly added to our depth and our norm. So, you know, last year the goal was to get into that semifinal game, and we accomplished that. So this year the goal would be to get into that championship game.
That was the head women's basketball coach, Naumovski. You can follow the Queens College basketball program and all the other sports by logging on to www.queensknights.com.